how will we use this data? How can we use this data for the other pitches that we're making in other countries? What is the data talking to us? Is there any gaps which we are missing on, lucrative market areas which we are missing at?
Hello and welcome to Customer Data Dialogues by Martechvibe. Today we are speaking with Farid Samji, who is the CEO of EWINGS. Farid, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
My first question is, Mazuz appeals to a very diverse demographic. How do you customize experiences to appeal to all of them?
Well, the nature of the product is such that it appeals to a multitude of people. From an ethnic perspective, from a language perspective, from an earnings perspective. And yes, if you look at the UAE's demographics, we've got over 150 nationalities here. So it was not a choice. We had to serve the demographics of UAE. And the nature of the product is such that it appeals to a blue-collar worker who might have a credit card, or might not have a credit card, might not have a debit card, might just have a salary card. And some folks might not even have that. To the ultra-affluent who will have 5-6 credit cards, the premium levels. How do you cater for people who might not speak English, who prefer Arabic? There are folks who might speak just Malayalam. So there was a challenge from a language perspective. There was a challenge from the diversity. We're not complaining here. We're delighted that we were posed with such challenges. But you had languages to contend with, you had pockets to contend with, and the earning potential of those pockets. It was an innovative product that we launched. So we couldn't piggyback on past experiences here. So yes, it was a challenge, and I'm delighted that the team have put something together, and the responses that we've got have been tremendous, and we have been able to rise up to the challenges. I mean, we all launched with the online web solution. We quickly knew that was only meant for the English and Arabic crowd. Those are the first two languages. But in the pipeline, we managed to stretch that to 5 languages. And that caters to English, Arabic, Malayalam, Hindi, and Urdu. Soon maybe we might look at other languages to add on to the ones that we already have. On the credit card debit side front, we extended the product to kiosks. And these kiosks are 24/7. But these kiosks also offer 5 languages. Then you have the multitude of people, and UAE and Dubai and Abu Dhabi and the popularity of these cities attract a lot of attention. So you do have participants who do look at Dubai for innovation and are attracted by what Dubai or UAE, Abu Dhabi has to offer. So we have participants from over 120 countries. We have 175 nationalities who have actually participated in Mazuz. So that's the kind of diaspora we're looking at here. It's mass market, you have to be ready for it, people want it, and you better make sure that you're partnering with the right people. The good thing is that this was not a legacy business and we were adding on. And I think we've done tremendously well. And we've only managed to do that. I mean, yes, we got the right people, but we've got the right partners. I mean, there's no denying that. Could have gone wrong in our partners, and that would have created its own set of challenges. But thank God, the decision making was right, the people we hired were right, and the partners we chose were right. And yes, I mean, Tealium is one of them, for instance. We're very delighted with how our technologies have integrated with one another.
It's really interesting that you mentioned people, partners, and something that perhaps add on to that is technology. Right? Honestly, yeah. And I want to go back to the diversity aspect that we talked about and how that is a challenge. But there's another challenge, which is it's time sensitive, right? So it's a weekly product that really expires at every week. So that adds another dimension of your marketing challenge. Tell me a little bit about that, and how did you really look at technology helping you with that?
You see, as you rightly mentioned, this is not, shall we say, a bill payment which is a monthly cycle. This isn't that. This is genuinely a product, and we've just got one at the moment. Now, within that product, yes, we conduct draws every week. And the moment the show goes live on a Saturday, 9 o'clock, and the gates close at 8:30 for our sales, for our participation, the team is already thinking about what's there for next week. And there are several angles to this. There is the reporting of the current show. There is a coordination of winners, and we have roughly between 2,500 to 3,000 winners every week. So you got to address them. You got to address the next week and the strategies and the marketing that goes out for the following week. You got to address the business as usual, business continuity aspects of things, whether it's your data and the analysis that come from that. What were our learnings? So there's a lot of learning that takes place on the last draw and the previous draws. And all that happens in 7 days with different personas. So it's not just one type of client who's going to feed you data which you need to synthesize, analyze, interpret, decision make. That happens in 7 days, and then start all over again.
That's really interesting. So I want to talk about, and since you mentioned data, it's fascinating the amount of data that you would have, the diversity of data that you would have, and the quality of data that you have. So I want to understand, what is the data journey that you go through? What are the kind of insights you're looking at so that you can remarket better to the same audience? Because I would imagine, yes, you mentioned there are thousands of winners, but there are hundreds of thousands of participants. So how do you keep them engaged for the next draw and the future?
There's a lot of cross-pollination that happens. I got to admit, there was a lot of learning. I mean, we've been doing this for a good part of a year now. There were learnings for us. There was a time when we took a bit of a recess, looked back, addressed the issues that we had, and launched again. Mazuz was launched in November, so we have done a good part of 9 to 10 months now. But there are specialist teams, and we have built this on a modular basis. What was the most important? What is it that takes us to the next level? But one thing for sure is that whoever we partner with, whatever technologies we bring on, they have to be agile. They have to be able to move with us. Today we have one product. Our teams know what the milestones are for the next 1 year. They know the milestones are for the next 3 years. Whether we make it even more mass market, whether we come up with new designs. Because so far, we've done very well. But this is not a destination. This is not where we want to be in. We've done remarkably well. Our shareholders are very happy. Staff are very happy. We've doubled in size. This is not your typical startup journey whereby you have to wait till 3 years to start putting head above water and make profits. We've done very well on that front, thank God. but this is just one product in one country. So on the data side, our learnings are, how will we use this data? How can we use this data for the other pitches that we're making in other countries? What is the data talking to us? Is there any gaps which we are missing on, lucrative market areas which we are missing at? This language option was as a result of data talking to us. We analyze and interpret, but it's done so quick by our teams, and we have the right teams of analysts who tell us whether you're better off to have call center staff with certain language capabilities on a Friday evening, but for the rest of the week, you're better off to have them in the morning slot, and evenings are just a waste. We go to that minutiae, okay? Discounts, promotions, the data is talking to you all the time. How many folks have participated in every single draw of yours? Does the month end have an effect on you? If it is having an effect, what sort of effect is having on you? Is the gender playing a role versus what the population is out there? Because probably you're not marketing right. Are you marketing right, but where are you having more successes? Is your messaging not correct? You might be marketing to the right people, but the messaging is not correct. We are highly, highly data driven. And one thing I got to say, I come from that kind of background, the analyst background. So I love data per se, and anything, I believe companies should not look at data and analytics on data as an add-on. This is where people go wrong. Your customers, and we've heard this cliche, is king. It doesn't stop there. What kind of king? And that's where data comes and tells you that this king likes this, doesn't like this, prefers this, doesn't prefer that. You're better off to serve like this. So we made sure that when we were building the cornerstones, and I was involved from day one of this business, from the hiring, whether it's contracts, the software designers would tell us the journey, the vendors, we made sure that data is central to everything we do. Otherwise, the marketing budget, and we've got a pretty decent marketing budget from our revenues, a good chunk. And if there's one area we don't compromise, it's very easy to say, oh, we'll chop the marketing. Yes, we've got marketing budget that commensurate with our revenues. And it would be very easy to say, oh, timing is not right, and let's cut our marketing budgets, and let's cut corners. Maybe some business can afford to do that, not us. For us, data, analytics, reaching out via marketing, the marketing tech has been very central to whatever we do. Use data that you have to justify it. Everything happens here because there's justification, and because we have the right tools, and we have the data and the tools to interpret that helps our decision making. It's very, very central to whatever we do here. And I think a lot of our success can be attributed to that.
That's really fascinating. It's almost like purpose-driven data, right? The data needs to have some purpose, and there has to be some objective behind it. You did mention about learnings, and you did mention that you've been operational for almost a year now. November is when you launched last year. And you did deploy a CDP. So tell us, what advice can you give others who are looking at investing in one?
You see, let me use our case as an example. Our CDP partner is Tealium. Tealium integrated very well with our CRM partner, which is Braze. Along with that, you've got several other technologies. Google Analytics is one, for instance. And it was very, very important for us that if we have established an objective for ourselves to be a market leader, we were a first mover in this space, we want to maintain that. Yes, we are going to have competition soon. It's a lucrative space. You cannot afford, and we don't have the luxury, because it's of a 7-day cycle, to have staff who are now scratching their heads and saying, oh God, we made a mistake. Thankfully, we are with the right people and we are very happy. But what you look for is reliability. You look for agility. You want a partner who's not there just when you're launching something, or also there when you're not understanding, or in mid-air you require assistance, who resolves things for you, who want to make it happen. A partner who is there and understands that they stand to benefit because you benefit, and they will bend backwards to assist you and to make you reach that level. And I got to say that the folks that we've got on board, Tealium for instance, it is not just during the beauty period, but it is during implementation. And if we have decided to move or integrate with some other partners, very willing and very ready to offer. So yes, it's time to deliver. It's the commitment that you get after you have signed on the dotted line, and that commitment even extends to training, for instance. That extension goes to innovation. That yes, we will innovate within our own space, but if I'm depending on a partner for the technology stack, I want them also to be a leader in what they're doing. You got to believe in your partner, and then they got to produce the goods too. Okay, and that's why don't cut corners. Have a 360 degrees interaction with them. Talk to them what you don't like. They'll come back to you in 3 months or 6 months and tell you, we have this for you. But to identify that kind of partner is very important. This is not a decision that you take over one day and based just on who gives you the lowest quote. That is something, that's a pitfall you really want to avoid, because as you hear, cheap can be expensive sometimes.
Cheap is often expensive. No, those are valuable insights. I think people would learn a lot from your strategy in terms of going with the best partners that you can trust, partners who give the agility. Thank you so much for these insights.
Pleasure.
Thank you so much for this talk. And thank you so much for joining us. That's a wrap from our side.